All right, to start it off here, let's talk about the weather. I've been on the computer most of today because teams are changing schedules as we speak, and it's going to continue to happen. So a lot of teams and weekends are now going to a Friday and Saturday. I understand that with obligations, family, work, a lot of you guys aren't able to work on Friday, but if there's any possible way that you guys can open that day up and be flexible, I would anticipate a lot more teams and conference weekends to change to a Friday, Saturday format based on the good weather that we're going to have on Friday and Saturday. You know, just our luck that we finally get some really good weather, but it's going to affect us in a negative way. So anybody that can just out of the blue come up with a 24-hour bug or something on Friday and help us out, certainly we would appreciate that, because it's going to get pretty interesting here with making some changes, all right? So do what you can to help. Ejections, guys, latest numbers from the NCAA, still up 25% across the country. Most of them are occurring in mid-major conferences, which, you know, I guess we could be considered some of those. The ejection reports that are coming across my desk, you know, some of them have been good, and some I think we have some room for improvement on. So let's talk about the ones that could be avoidable. Guys, one point I want to make is as much as a lot of us don't use profanity in our lives, I wish I was one of them, but just merely a coach or a player using profanity is not grounds for an ejection. It's not directed towards you or towards another team, coach, player, whatever it may be. Just using profanity is not grounds to eject somebody, all right? Believe me, I understand that there's young children and wives, daughters, girlfriends in the crowd that certainly a lot of us would not use those words in front of, but we just can't eject people for that, all right? One thing I want to talk about is after a warning is issued, what happens when the coach makes a comment after that, all right? What can be ignored? Was something that was said, was that bad enough to eject somebody? If it was bad enough for them to be ejected on their own without the warning, then yes, you eject them. Is it something that you could ignore? Is it just some smart comment after you give the warning? Because it's going to happen, okay? We just thought we heard something, or if somebody's mumbling something in your direction as they're walking off the field, we have to be absolutely certain we know what is being said, okay? Because obviously we have to prove that in the report. And when a coach, administrator, someone from a conference asks what was said, we have to have a good answer, and it has to be perfectly accurate. So we have to make sure we know what they're saying. We've had a couple of cases this week where umpires are doing a good job of maybe ignoring a comment or not jumping all over a situation to eject somebody, okay? There was an occasion this past week where an umpire warned a coach exactly by the book, following the script, and the coach's response was, "Don't threaten me." Okay. I could very easily defend that umpire ejecting the coach for that. But his response was simply, "I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you a warning, and if you continue, I will eject you." Guys, I think that's perfect. I'm certainly not asking you guys to be out there taking shots or being abused, disrespected. But that comment on its own, would that be something that you would just eject somebody for? I don't know that you would. But by ignoring, "I'm not threatening you, this is your warning. If you continue, you'll be ejected." Ultimately, that coach walked away. There was no ejection, and the game went on without any other issue. Okay, so that's a good use of just following the process and not jumping the gun on that. Okay, I just think if we just ignore some of those stupid comments, that things will go away. They know the process, all right? So let's just follow through that. Crew chief procedures during arguments. This is one thing, guys, that we have not spoken to all of you umpires about, but I spoke to crew chiefs last week, and we've had a couple of occasions where crew chiefs have done a good job. So I just want to outline to you the process so none of you guys are surprised out there. I've instructed my crew chiefs to step into a discussion that has gone a bit too long or too heated, or within earshot, a crew chief has heard that the discussion with the coach is just kind of going in circles. We're not making any progress, okay? Or if a crew chief simply has some information that might help the discussion move along a little quicker, clarify some things. So what I want the other umpires on a crew to realize and understand is I don't want them to be offended if a crew chief just steps in. I don't want you to think that they're stepping on your toes, because quite honestly, most of the umpires that work here are or will be a crew chief at one point in their career, because that's really what the goal for everyone is to ascend to that level. So I don't want you guys to be upset when your crew chief steps in there. Oftentimes it's just going to be an opportunity for him to move things along, to diffuse the situation, to get the game moving, or to clarify and make this a little bit easier and quicker. I've seen some ejections over the last couple of weeks that have just gone on too long. And with our crew chief stepping in and taking that leadership role, I think that it's just going to do a better job of not only, like I said, moving things along, but diffusing and keeping people in the game. Now, that being said, once that crew chief steps in there, if the coach still doesn't want to comply or follow the warnings and guidelines that we have, then we will eject. And once again, I'm not saying we're not out there to take abuse and not eject people when it's warranted. But guys, and this isn't just in our area, I've seen across the country, there's a lot of situations that umpires can handle much better. And I think we all have to work every week and every game, every day we're out there, to do a much better job of handling these situations. Okay? And it's been very well received by the coaches. I've had 2 or 3 situations where coaches have commented, and even one situation where a coach was ejected by a crew chief stepping in. He thought it was handled in a very professional manner. And when I get a report like that from a coach that was ejected, makes me very happy to hear you guys are doing a good job out there handling these situations. So let's keep that up, and just once again, know that your crew chiefs will be stepping in. And guys, if you're on that crew and your chief walks in, you have to know enough to step away and get out of there. All right? Let him do his job, and don't be offended by it. Assistant coaches, guys, listen, this rule has been in place for a number of years now, where we know that assistant coaches aren't necessarily supposed to argue calls, do anything to demonstrate their disapproval, show you up. I get all that. And I'll be the first one to admit, when this rule first came into, and I don't even remember how long ago it was, I was one of those umpires that kind of had the attitude, hey, you're an assistant coach, you don't matter. You're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed to leave your coach's box. I don't have to listen to you. Guys, the rule book, that backs that up. They're not allowed to do a number of things. But I think what you have to consider is that they are coaches on the field, and they should be allowed to ask you a question. And if they do it in the right way and they approach you with respect, just like any man who would ask you a question on the street or anywhere in this world, I think you allow him that respect to answer his question if he's respectful to you. Now, if he starts to leave his position to approach you, then just communicate. Hey, stay there. I'll answer your question. Even approach him. Okay? If it's not heated, if it's respectful, just merely ejecting an assistant coach for leaving his box or for asking a question or even possibly disagreeing with a call, to just dismiss him and eject him immediately is not what we're trying to do out here. At the end of the day, it makes us look bad. It makes us look like we're not approachable.
Oh, here it is.
We won't listen. Okay? So, guys, let's think about how we're handling assistant coaches out there. And if they treat us in the right way with respect, we should afford them the same respect back. All right? A couple rules things, guys, that were covered last week with the crew chiefs, which I'm going to just update you on. A lot of you guys probably are not aware of this, nor was I, and I had umpired the 90-second rule the same way like all you guys have for as long as it's been in place. But recently from the NCAA, after 90 seconds, the pitcher should be on the mound and the batter standing next to the batter's box. All right? At that point, hey, guys, please mute your phones. I'm really trying not to be in a bad mood tonight, but you guys are not making it very easy on me. Seconds, the pitcher's on the mound, the batter's next to the box. That pitcher now has an additional 20 seconds to deliver the pitch. And this is one thing that I was not aware of, nor have I called it this way ever. So essentially, guys, you're looking at 110 seconds before we start the inning, before there's any violation. So we've talked about in the past, there really should be no reason why we would ever have a violation based on us getting the batters prepared, the catcher throwing the ball down in a proper time. Now we actually have an additional 20 seconds. So let's make sure we're communicating from the base umpire to the plate guy, doing everything we've been doing. Now there really is no reason ever to have that violation. All right, so just keep up what you're doing. I'm seeing good things from guys out there with the signaling, communicating on deck batters. You guys are doing a great job. But now just know this rule as well. We had discussions in video on Rule 9.1b with the hesitation. We finally got some more information from Randy Bruns on this. So with no runners on, pitcher is in a set position. He hesitates in his delivery. What happens if the pitch is delivered and the ball is hit? If the batter and all runners advance one base, they get the base. They advance, okay? If it's the first offense, there is still a warning. On the second offense, obviously we know where we're doing that as well. If the pitch is not hit by the batter, we ignore the pitch. We don't count it as a ball or strike. Once again, first pitch, warning. Second pitch, ball. And the pitch is delivered with runners on base. It's just a normal balk procedure, which we're all used to. All right. So just to clear that one up for us, that's straight from the top from Randy Bruns. Some observations from Warren Bumpus, myself, and from Bill McCallum as well. Seeing a lot of good things out there. One thing that I want to talk about is let's do a better job of reading your partners out there. All right. We know in three-man baseball and in two-man as well, it's really important to know what your partner's doing at all times. So on fly balls, let's make sure that not only are we reading the baseball, but we're making sure we're looking at our partner to see what they're doing. Oftentimes there's going to be baseballs hitting areas that either one of two umpires could go out on, and that may impact or influence the movements of our plate umpire. So let's make sure once the ball's hit, we identify where it's hit. We're making eye contact or looking at our partners to see what they're doing. Rotations. We've been doing a pretty good job of rotations, guys, but we talk about this, or we have talked about this in the past. We don't ever want a rotation to break down. So we should always be looking to see where your partners are a step or two into the rotation. If somebody's not fulfilling their responsibility, that's the time for a partner just to yell out the partner's name and tell them to get moving, however it is. Rotate, get across, reverse, whatever it may be. Fly balls, guys, anytime that the inside umpire has a fly ball inside the V, hey, let's just communicate to your first base umpire or to your third base umpire. Hey, I've got that, Chris. That's mine. Just simple little communications like that so we know everyone's on the same page. And really, guys, let's just have an overall awareness of where you are, where your partners are on the field at all the time. Communication can always be better. We see it all the time. So let's just, make a real concerted effort to pick up your partners, know what they're doing, look at each other, and communicate just a little bit better. All right. Dugout situations, hey, listen, I know we don't want to have to deal with dugouts, but let's make sure they're staying inside. And this isn't so much Division I level. I know some JUCO and Division III, it's been more of an issue, and I've seen it myself. One thing I have been seeing on the weekends that I've been out is on-deck hitters, especially beginning of innings. You know, I'm seeing 3, 4, 5, 6 guys out, 4 of which with bats. Remember, to start an inning, only 2 guys out. And once we get rolling there, just the on-deck better outside. Most teams have been pretty good, but when you have a team that violates it, they do it in a big way, and there's a lot of guys out there. Once again, bench yocking, zero tolerance. I haven't seen a whole lot of it on weekends that I've been out, but just be aware when it starts, guys. Let's just take care of it. Use your base coaches to help you out. And if they don't want to, then issue the appropriate warnings for it. Fly ball coverages, guys. You know, I'm still seeing this, and, you know, we'll talk about it every week, much to the dismay of some of the people on this phone call tonight. We're still looking to make perfect reads out there. I would much rather have an umpire in the outfield and get out there on his initial read thinking it may be trouble, and it turns into a can of corn or an easy catch, rather than have him read it as easy and not have an umpire in the outfield. For first base umpires and no runners on, remember, you have extra time to really read that fly ball, so don't be so quick to hold up your plate umpire. Only hold them up when you are certain that that ball's not going to be trouble, because that now eliminates the possibility of you going out late. All right, so just wait. Take all that information in. Make sure that we're looking at the fielders, not the baseball. And I've seen this a little bit too as well. When we're communicating to our partners, a lot of times you won, or really any other partner, there's no need to look back at that partner to tell him that you're going out. Just go. Use his first name, whatever it is. If we're truly reading each other out there, all we need to do is see that somebody's going out to know he's going out. Once again, by watching him and keying off of his movements. Okay? Yeah, I just covered that. Oh, check swings, guys. One thing that has been talked about at a national level, and I've seen it too, as plate umpires, for many years we have talked about or have had the mindset that we're going to try to get as many check swings as we possibly can. And oftentimes in doing that, I think we get some that maybe they didn't go on. So let's make certain, guys, if we're going to call a check swing strike, make sure that he went. And if you're not sure, if you have any doubt, then go to your partners. That's what they're out there for. All right? Yeah, we may miss some obvious ones. I get it. And we may hear those comments say you should have gotten it at the plate. But we're also hearing the comments that when you get one on the plate and you should have gone to your partner because they didn't think that he went on the pitch, you know what? Sometimes they're probably right. So if you're not sure, you're not 100%, go to your partners, use them. We have guys with 3 umpires out there in better positions to see those sometimes than us. So use them, all right? From Bill McCallum, he had the same concerns or things that I've seen on fly balls, but we're doing better. I think that's just identifying the opportunity to just go out on more baseballs than we're used to going out on, and just not worrying about making a bad read, making the safer read on fly balls. All right, Danny Miller, you on the call?
I am.
All right, Danny. Danny's going to talk a little bit about some illegal bat issues that he encountered.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This weekend, my crew was involved in an illegal bat situation, and when I was speaking with Chris, I guess it was yesterday, we both thought it would be a good idea to convey the situation in this forum. So what transpired was on Friday in Game 1, the head coach had alerted each and every one of us as a crew member that he thought the opposition had an illegal bat in play. Nothing transpired Game 1. nothing took place Game 2. In Game 3, in the top of the 7th, I believe, in a 2-2 game, that's when he had the crew look into an illegal bat. Now, I want to backtrack prior to this. As a crew, we got together on Friday after the game and discussed the process that we would go through if this occurred. And I'm going to have our crew chief, Mike Mazza, speak to this in a moment. We had it all set as a crew, and then, as I said, on Game 3, it came into play. And what I want to do is bring everybody's attention to the rule, because this is something that we really don't encounter a lot. It's Rule 1, Section 12, the bat, on page 17 in the rule book, and I'm just going to highlight a couple things. A bat that has been flattened or altered to improve performance is an illegal bat. If it's detected before the first pitch, the batter shall be called out and the bat removed from the game. If it's detected after the first pitch, the batter is to be called out and the base runners are to be returned to the bases they were on. So what I want to emphasize there is the ball does not need to be put in play for a batter to be called out. What was going on this weekend, the concern was that the polyurethane core was removed or altered down that led to the opposition believing the bat had been altered. I want to bring your attention to Rule 2, Section 42. That's on page 30, and that lists all the different things where a bat can't be illegal. Now, with all of that as a background, Mike, are you with us?
I'm online. I'm on here.
Yeah, if you would just continue the setup that I had in terms of when the bat was challenged, the process that we used.
So like Dan had discussed, we talked about it in the locker room a little bit, and the Hofstra coach told us on Game 2 that he wanted to check the bat when due time comes up. Game 3, 7th inning, tie game. Had a runner on first base hit. The coach asked me, said, Mike, I want to check the bat. So when I walked up to him, I said, John, exactly what do you want to check? He said, well, I think they have an illegal bat. I said, okay, fine. We got the crew together. All three of us actually inspected the bat. There was no cracks, no dents. The end cap was intact. It wasn't loose. The knob wasn't loose. We banged the bat on the ground to see if there was anything unusual. All three of us, we shook the bat up and down to make sure we couldn't hear anything inside because there's a rattle. Sometimes when the bats become loose. All three of us inspected the bat, and there was nothing. So I, as a crew chief, walked over to the Hofstra coach and talked to him one-on-one and told him, I said, look, John, I said, we checked the bat, all three of us. There's nothing illegal about it. There's no dents. There's no cracks. The end cap's not loose. The knob's not loose. He's like, Mike, the restrictor plate inside us, we can't tell if anything is loose or not. So, therefore, the bat's not illegal, and we're just going to continue to play baseball. He was upset for, 2 or 3 seconds, but he understood. He saw all three of us check it. Pretty simple process, but like Danny said, we don't see it very often. So when it happens, let's just make sure we're kind of slow about it. Get everybody together if we have to. Go through the right checks and balances. So if we do have an illegal bat situation, we know the rule, and the guys can't advance on a base hit or on a hit. Nobody can advance for you to bring the guys back. We didn't have to do anything, so we were free and clear. But we did our jobs and our due diligence like we were supposed to. Anything else, Dan?
Nope, not at all. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, thanks for that. That's great information. Certainly to go through that process and to deal with that. And I think in the future we're all going to have bad testing, and it's going to be there, and some of us will see that postseason this year. So it's just something that's on the horizon in the future that we're going to have to deal with, and being knowledgeable of how to go through the process and what to look for certainly is going to be very helpful for all of us. So, hey, guys, you know what? I wasn't going to bring strike zones up, but, at the end of the day here, if you guys think this is a joke, You think that it doesn't apply to you. You think that we're wasting your time. That's really sad because there's more people that are saying that this is a positive thing, that this is helpful, that we're getting useful information out of this. So the people that think that this is a waste of time, those are the people that will not be successful, the ones that are not going to improve, the ones that are not going to advance, and quite frankly, will not have jobs. The guys that put the time and the effort forth and listen to what we're saying, and everything that I say or anyone else on these phone calls doesn't mean it's 100% accurate, that we know everything. But you know what? We feel like we can help you to improve. And we feel like this is really important that we have these phone calls to do our best to make sure you guys have the information to make you most successful. And at the end of the day, it makes this organization special and successful, and will create more opportunities for not only us, but other umpires in the future. So shame on you who thinks that this is a joke. And you know what? You don't have to call in next time. Clearly you know it all. So with that being said, guys, help out here. This weekend's going to be difficult with weather. Keep up what you're doing, and have a good weekend, fellas. Good night.